Hey, what's up everyone? Today, we're diving deep into the world of Resident Evil smooth talking, zombie slaying, one-liner dropping legend, Leon S. Kennedy. You think you know him? Well, sit tight because I've got 67 facts that just might blow your mind.
Man, what a mess. What could have done this?
You know it, you love it, the moment when Leon casually drops one of Resident Evil 4's most iconic lines after surviving a horde of murderous villagers.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
But did you know this legendary moment almost was cut from the remake? Leon's voice actor in the remake revealed that the devs originally replaced it with another line. But in a stroke of genius, or just for fun, the director said, you know what? Let's throw that bingo line in there. And boom, it made it to the final cut. Imagine Resident Evil 4 without it. I don't think I want to live in that timeline.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Leon made appearances in the late 90s Resident Evil comics published by Wildstorm, where he continued his Resident Evil 2 journey in stylized shorts. While not considered canon, they give fans an early taste of Leon outside the games. Also, comic book Leon is weirdly buff. Like, forget about running from Mr. X, this version of Leon looks like he could bench press Mr. X. Leon wasn't some last-minute addition, he was always meant to be in a Resident Evil sequel. After the original game dropped in 1996, Capcom started working on a sequel almost immediately. That version, known as Resident Evil 1.5, got scrapped. But Leon, he survived and made it to the final version of Resident Evil 2. Raccoon City was doomed, but at least Leon made it out alive. You think Leon became a government agent because he wanted to save the world, right? Wrong. After Resident Evil 2, Leon and Sherry Birkin were captured by the military. The government threatened to kill Sherry if Leon didn't work for them. Talk about job pressure. So yeah, Leon didn't choose the secret agent life. The secret agent life chose him. Did you know Resident Evil 4's early development accidentally created Devil May Cry? One version of Resident Evil 4 had a slick, demon-hunting protagonist named Tony Redglaive, who looked a lot like Leon. Capcom realized the game was straying too far from Resident Evil, so they reworked it into an entirely new series, Devil May Cry. And just like that, Leon basically gave birth to Dante. Despite both being Resident Evil legends, Leon and Wesker have never actually met in the main games. It's wild to think about, considering how involved they both were in the series' major events. Maybe it's for the best. Wesker's monologues might have been a little too much for Leon's patience.
That's right. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant! Chris? Stop it.
Before heading to Spain in Resident Evil 4, Leon got himself a brand new handgun. He went to Joe Kendo, brother of the Kendo gun shop owner from Resident Evil 2, and had a custom pistol made. Joe wanted to call it the Grey Phantom, but Leon named it Silver Ghost, because he felt like a lost soul after Raccoon City. Deep, right? He even added the skull emblem himself. Before Leon became the suave, zombie-slaying badass we know today, he had a different name. Grant Bittman. Yeah, doesn't quite have the same ring to it, does it? Thankfully, by the time Resident Evil 1.5 was in development, Capcom had already redesigned and renamed him to Leon S. Kennedy, a much better fit. Leon was only 21 years old when he walked into the worst first day on the job in history. Not much training, no backup, just pure rookie determination. And somehow, he made it through. Leon's last main game appearance was Resident Evil 6 in 2013, and that was over a decade ago. At that point, he was a 36-year-old Division of Security Operations agent, still battling bioweapons and dropping one-liners. But since then, no sign of him in Resident Evil 7 or Village. Leon's very first voice actor, Paul Haddad, voiced him in Resident Evil 2, 1998. But did you know he also voiced Quicksilver in X-Men, the animated series? Oh, and here's the wild part. He was also the voice of Willy, the actual orca, in the Free Willy animated series.
Better get you back, bud.
Depending on the scenario, Leon's cop car can crash either head-on or spin around and crash backwards. This changes which side he exits on.
You okay?
The face models for Leon and Ashley in the original Resident Evil 4 later appeared in a Wii commercial for Resident Evil 4. Ever wonder what the S in Leon S. Kennedy stands for? It's Scott. Leon Scott Kennedy. Leon was a playable character in Resident Evil Gaiden, a Game Boy Color game that ditched the classic Resident Evil formula for a top-down view that switched to first person when engaged in combat. Leon teamed up with Barry Burton from the first game, and a new character named Lucia, who could sense bioweapons. The game takes place on an ocean liner called the Starlight, where Leon investigates a new bioweapon. But here's the kicker. The ending raises some serious questions about whether it was really Leon after all. Backflips. Cool, right? Necessary? Probably not. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, Leon encounters the infamous Chainsaw Sisters. Their chainsaws tear through the wall right in front of him, and any normal person would just step back, but not Leon. Instead of taking the safe route, he kicks off the very wall being sawed through and executes a perfectly unnecessary yet ridiculously stylish backflip. He could have lost a leg, but hey, style points matter. This moment proves why he's one of the most iconic action heroes in the Resident Evil series. While the live-action Resident Evil films took some creative liberties, Capcom's animated movies have been giving fans more of what they actually want: more Leon. Films like Resident Evil Vendetta dive deeper into his character, showing him in action alongside Chris Redfield and Rebecca Chambers. These animated stories keep the franchise's core characters in the spotlight, giving fans a more faithful expansion of the Resident Evil universe. Before facing hordes of zombies and bioweapons, Leon was just a promising young cop. He graduated at the top of his class at the police academy, earning exceptional test scores that made him a prime recruit for the RPD. Inspired by reports of gruesome murders in the area, he requested to be assigned there. Unfortunately, he got more than he bargained for. Leon isn't just about guns and one-liners, he got some serious pro wrestling moves too. In Resident Evil 4, he straight up German suplexes enemies, slamming their heads into the ground like he's in the middle of a pay-per-view event. What wrestling moves should the rest of the Resident Evil crew use? I think Nemesis could do a picture-perfect tombstone power driver if you ask me. If Leon isn't busy fighting bioweapons, what's he doing? Apparently watching movies alone in the dark. In his favorite film, The French Connection, a gritty, action-packed cop movie from the 70s. Makes sense. Leon's got that whole rogue cop thing going on for him. Leon's entire survival in Resident Evil 2 may have happened because he slept through his alarm. Before heading to Raccoon City, he got drunk, passed out in a motel, and woke up hungover on the afternoon of September 29th, which, fun fact, was a Tuesday. If he'd actually arrived on time, he would have been at the RPD police station when the outbreak wiped out the entire force. Instead, he strolled in hungover and late after an apparent breakup, and somehow that saved his life. So yeah, Leon didn't just roll into a zombie outbreak, he rolled in nauseous and probably dehydrated. And honestly, that's what makes his survival even more impressive. Fans have long speculated that Leon Kennedy was inspired by Jean Reno's character in the 1994 movie Leon the Professional. Both Leons are sharp-dressed, silent but deadly badasses with a soft spot for protecting people. And both love rocking a sick jacket. Capcom's never confirmed it, but the similarities? Kinda hard to ignore. Resident Evil 2's director originally liked tough, no-nonsense heroes, but he wanted Leon to be different from Chris Redfield. Instead of making him another buff action hero, Kamiya gave Leon flaws and vulnerabilities, making him feel more like an everyday guy thrown into chaos.
Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Even though Leon's hair sometimes looks lighter or even ashy in certain situations, his official hair color is brown. Different graphic engines and remakes have made it appear slightly different over the years, but Capcom has confirmed it's just brown. Leon's official blood type is A, so if he ever needs a transfusion, you know what to do. Leon is 180 centimeters, or 5'11", and weighs 75 kilograms, or 165 pounds. Leon's lineage is Italian-American. The knife Leon uses in Resident Evil 4 Remake isn't just any standard issued blade. It's the same one Marvin handed to him back in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Through all the chaos, Leon held onto it, making it more than just a weapon. It's a piece of Raccoon City he carries with him. Early drafts of Resident Evil 2 had Leon in even worse shape than the final version. He was already trapped inside the Raccoon City Police Department for days, before things got really bad. Instead of making a dramatic first day entrance, he was hunkered down with the other surviving officers, trying to keep it together. But even in the city, overrun with zombies, Leon's rookie optimism couldn't be stopped. He was written as the guy trying to keep everyone's spirits up, basically giving pep talks while the undead banged on the doors. This version of Leon also had two major allies, Marvin, who stuck around in the final game, and a researcher named Linda, who eventually evolved into Ada Wong. The game started with him arriving in the city, made it seem so big and scary. Playing Resident Evil 2 as a kid, running through the hordes of zombies was absolutely terrifying. Without that intro, Resident Evil 2 might have felt too much like the first game, which started in a relatively claustrophobic Spencer mansion. Instead, we got an unforgettable, panic-inducing introduction to one of the most iconic settings in survival horror. Leon's first live-action portrayal was in a Japanese TV commercial for Resident Evil 2, directed by horror icon George A. Romero. He was played by actor Brad Renfro. Speaking of legendary horror director George A. Romero, the mastermind behind Night of the Living Dead was originally in talks with Capcom to make a Resident Evil movie. After directing the live-action commercial for Resident Evil 2 in 1997, he was convinced the film should be a true horror experience that captured the extreme violence and gore of the games. Unfortunately, they didn't agree with Romero's vision, fearing it was too intense for mainstream audiences in 1999. Instead, we got Paul W.S. Anderson's version, which, well, had its own thing going on. In Dead by Daylight, Leon is a playable survivor, but he doesn't get to use any of his cool weapons. No rocket launchers, no fancy kicks, just a lot of running for his life. At least he can fix a generator or two. As of this recording, Leon has made his most recent return in the animated film Resident Evil Death Island. The handgun Leon uses in Resident Evil 2 is called Matilda, which is a direct nod to the movie Leon the Professional, where the main character protects a girl named Matilda. In Resident Evil 2, Leon's desk contains a pair of big-nosed disguise glasses, likely a prank from his coworkers. The Welcome Leon sign is also misspelled with an extra L, which was fixed in the remake, but they still referenced it by placing an extra L on the desk and a missing space between the L and the C. Leon's real-life face, it belongs to Eduard Badaluda, a Romanian model and actor. He served as a face model for Leon in both Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake. In Resident Evil 4's Remake, we learned something new about Leon. He only has eyes for one.
I am flattered. But I'm a one-lady type of guy.
This is definitely one of my favorite Leon one-liners. Between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4, Leon was sent to South America to investigate Javier Hidalgo, a drug lord with ties to Umbrella. His partner, Jack Krauser.
Been a long time, comrade.
This mission, seen in Resident Evil The Dark Side Chronicles, involved a T. Veronica virus outbreak, a mutant crime boss, and a mysterious girl named Manuela. Long story short, Leon saved the day, Krauser got injured, and later, well, we all know how that turned out. You ever look at Leon's leather jacket in Resident Evil 4 and think, I need that in my life? Well, if you've got $1,500 lying around, Leon's leather jacket is based on a real-life jacket. Look, fashion isn't cheap, but surviving Las Plagas in style? Priceless. Leon's childhood wasn't all sunshine and puppy dogs. His family was deeply connected to crime, which eventually led to their murder. The only reason Leon survived was because a police officer saved him. That moment inspired him to join the force so he could protect others the same way he was protected. Leon's snarky comebacks are legendary, but this one is peak dad joke energy. When Resident Evil 4's tiny tyrant, Ramon Salzer, warns Leon that his right hand will dispose of him, what does Leon say?
Your right hand comes off?
It's the perfect mix of sass, sarcasm, and the pure Leon energy we all love. After returning from Spain in Resident Evil 4, Leon was sent to Hardville Airport to stop a bioterrorist attack, which was the plot of the animated film Resident Evil Degeneration. There, he reunited with Claire Redfield, took down more zombies, and probably wondered why bioweapons just won't leave him alone. Despite both being major Resident Evil protagonists, Leon and Jill Valentine have never interacted in a mainline game. The only time they were ever seen together was in Resident Evil Death Island. In the original Resident Evil 2, if Leon searches Wesker's desk exactly 50 times, he'll find a roll of undeveloped film. Develop it, and what do you get? A photo of Rebecca Chambers and a basketball outfit. Why is this hidden in your desk, Wesker? Bit weird, dude. Unlike the other RPD officers, Leon's uniform has added body armor. Why? Because his was a new model, issued due to rising crime and riots in Raccoon City. In Resident Evil 4, equipping Leon's mafia outfit also changes his knife into a switchblade, because you can't be a proper mobster with just a regular combat knife. In an early scrapped version of Resident Evil 1.5, the cancelled prototype of Resident Evil 2, Leon was supposed to have a bloodhound as a companion, Imagine fighting through Raccoon City with a zombie-sniffing canine buddy. Unfortunately, this idea was dropped when Resident Evil 2 was reworked into its final version. Maybe that's why we got that helpful dog in Resident Evil 4. Looks like Capcom didn't forget about man's best friend after all.
Hey, it's that dog.
Codenames exist for a reason, to keep sensitive information hidden from prying ears. During his Resident Evil 4 mission, Ashley Graham is given the codename Baby Eagle to keep her identity as the president's daughter under wraps. But Leon, he completely blows it within minutes. The moment he finds a photo of Ashley, he immediately radios Hannigan and says both her real name and her codename in the same sentence, basically handing out classified information.
President's daughter, Baby Eagle. It's likely she's in this village.
Resident Evil 6 might not be the most beloved entry in the series, but it did give us a rare moment. Leon versus Chris. At one point in the game, Leon and Chris Redfield, both legendary protagonists, come to blows over Ada Wong. Chris, believing Ada to be a threat due to her involvement with Neo Umbrella, is determined to take her down. Leon, however, refuses to let that happen, even if it means fighting Chris himself. Let's face it, Leon S. Kennedy should not be allowed behind the wheel. He is not a good driver. Over the years, he's wrecked a squad car, a boat, another squad car, a helicopter, and even an airplane. At this point, it's almost a miracle that he hasn't totaled a bicycle. That said, give him a jet ski and suddenly he's a pro. Maybe he just needs all his vehicles to come with high-speed water escapes and explosions to drive properly. Leon S. Kennedy got a mysterious phone call before heading to Raccoon City, warning him not to go. A normal person might take that as a sign to stay far, far away, but not Leon. Nope, he shrugged it off and went anyway. Was it rookie enthusiasm, a strong sense of duty, or did he just have terrible decision-making skills? Whatever the reason, he drove straight into what would become the worst day on the job ever. Leon snowboards, or at least he does in this PS1 game, Trickin' Snowboarder, where he, Claire, and even a zombie cop are playable characters. Leon has shown up in mobile games like Resident Evil Degeneration, Resident Evil Gaiden, and even an unlockable character in raid mode for Resident Evil Revelations 2. In the original Resident Evil 4, Leon flirted with Hunnigan constantly over the radio. Most of his banter was removed in the remake, but some fans still miss his cringy one-liners.
You know, you're kind of cute without those glasses. Give me your number when I get back.
May I remind you that you're still on duty?
Story of my life.
In Resident Evil 6, Leon is forced to shoot the zombified version of the President. But this isn't President Graham, Ashley's father from Resident Evil 4. It's actually President Adam Benford, Leon's old friend and mentor. In the trial version of Resident Evil 2, several unused voice lines can be found, including Leon telling Ada to hold her fire.
Hold your fire!
Even better, there's a longer conversation between Leon and Marvin that is pretty hilarious.
Leon, if I die, you have to shoot me in the head. If you don't, I'll become one of them. You can't let that happen.
Don't talk like that. Hey!
In the original Resident Evil 2, if Leon aims and fires the shotgun at the screen, bullet holes actually appear on the player's camera, fading away after a few seconds. For a guy who is incredibly skilled, Leon somehow gets captured way too often. In Resident Evil 4, he gets captured twice. In Resident Evil Vendetta, he's literally chained to a chair and still manages to fight his way out. Honestly, it's kind of impressive at this point.
Hey.
Leon was supposed to throw hands in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, but got cut from the final roster. A tragic loss. Imagine the stylish suplexes. Leon doesn't just rely on guns, he's got serious knife skills too. In Resident Evil 4 Remake, his knife combat got a massive upgrade, letting him parry chainsaws, sneak attack enemies, and even go full John Wick in close quarters. Who needs bullets when you got reflexes like that? Leon isn't just brawn, he's got brains too. Over the course of the games, he's shown to understand and speak at least Spanish in Resident Evil 4 and Russian in Resident Evil Damnation.
You know a key?
In Project X Zone 2, a tactical RPG crossover featuring characters from Capcom, Namco, and Sega, Leon appears as a support character alongside Resident Evil's Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine. While Chris and Jill get full playable roles, Leon gets the cover treatment and can join battles to assist with devastating combo attacks. If you're craving more Leon outside the games, Resident Evil City of the Dead by S.D. Perry is the perfect book. It dives deep into the events of Resident Evil 2, expanding on Leon's character and his journey in Raccoon City. He even makes appearances in a few other S.D. Perry books. In Resident Evil 2, if you're playing on Leon's disc, you're starting with disc 1. However, the canon playthrough of the game is actually Claire scenarios first, Claire A, followed by Leon, Leon B. This specific order is considered the true storyline, as it provides more context and reveals important interactions that shape the overall narrative.
Let's split up, look for any survivors, and get out of here.
In 2010, Leon Kennedy and Chris Redfield finally meet for the first time during a Terra Save reunion, thanks to a presentation by Claire Redfield. Leon Kennedy was the first character to encounter a lictor. The lictor makes its debut in Resident Evil 2 during the early stages of Leon's playthrough, marking one of the game's most memorable and horrifying moments.
Oh boy.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed these interesting facts about Leon Kennedy. If you liked the video, please subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. There are more videos like this on the way, so stay tuned. And if you have any other Leon facts that weren't in this video, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Until next time, take care.